Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Married to His Will. I'm so excited to be here today. I want you to get comfortable and relax because today I have a special one. I have two special people coming to join me in the studio today. They are a married couple and they will be here for the first time on this platform with me to talk about their marriage, love, well, how it started, even divorce, all of that. So I'm excited for you to meet them today. And we're going to dive into it. We're going to get the details from them because I want to continue to give you hope as some of you are waiting for your spouse. You're waiting for that day when you can share your love story like these two. Maybe you are completely single. You've never been married. Maybe you have been married and ended up divorced. Whatever your situation is, there is hope for you. And I want to help you become unstuck today. So invite your friends, your BFFs, and join the party as we get into this podcast today. Please welcome with me, my friends, Wanda Velez and Luis Velez. Welcome them to Married to His Will. Woo! Welcome, Wanda and Luis. Thank you so much for being here with me. I'm so excited that you said yes to this interview or discussion today. I want the folks that listen to this podcast to be inspired by your story. I know I'm already inspired. I haven't heard the whole thing, but I got to speak with Wanda at her Flourish retreat recently. I want to talk a little bit about that because it was amazing. And this was my first time being at a retreat like that. It was simply breathtaking and it wasn't a huge group. So it felt very intimate, just exactly what I needed. So first I want to talk about that, Wanda, because you have a powerful ministry. So tell us, how did that get started, or what inspired you to do that retreat?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, thank you for having us.
Yes.
We're excited to be here with you. This is the first time that we are on a podcast together as a couple. So we're really excited, especially because we'll celebrate 20 years of marriage on the 12th of November. And so this is a great way to have a conversation and share some of our story, but to also assess, where we are in our marriage and in our relationship. And so Flourish was a dream, a vision that the Lord gave me many, many years ago. And because of where I was at in my life professionally, my time was committed to what the Lord was calling me to do in that season. And when all of that shifted in 2023, I was finishing up my dissertation work and on women's deferred dreams. And I realized that I had a few of my own deferred dreams, and one being this retreat that at the time I didn't have a name for it. And so for that first year of my transition in my professional life, I started to pray and ask the Lord, is it time for me to launch this retreat? A year later, he gave me the name of the retreat. And, since then, obviously you've attended the retreat, and a lot of it was to create a safe space for women.
Yeah.
And you said it earlier, it was an intimate space. As Christians, we've attended, I'm sure, a lot of conferences, a lot of women's events, and they're largely attended. But for me, I wanted something really small, intimate, beautiful, something that would really connect the women together in community, a space where, having a private chef was really part of the vision too, where your meals were prepared for you.
Yeah.
Everything that you needed to consume, to nurture you was there, food, ambiance, all of it. And so I'm just grateful that we got to do it, and you got to be part of the first group, or the first cohort. And, now we'll continue. So I'm about to launch the date for the next one in the spring.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very exciting. So we're not going to talk much more about that, but I'm just so excited. I had to talk about it because it was amazing. It was beautiful. And I want the women who listen to this podcast to know there are women out here doing something for you to create a safe space for you. And as a therapist, as this is my profession, as a counselor, it was a good space for me to deal with my soul, right? And instead of me always pouring out to others. So thank you for creating that space. And I was so happy when you said Luis was going to join you today, that you don't come alone, but it's a package. So before we dive into your story, I'm going to say a prayer because I really do want this to be impacting to those who are listening. So there are people that are stuck, whether they're in a bad relationship or came out of one or have been single forever. This is an episode that I know will inspire them through your story. So, Father, I just thank you so much for this opportunity to be with Luis and Wanda. Thank you so much that they have said yes to this discussion today. Thank you for the words that will come out of their mouth to empower, and that their story will be released to those who need to hear it. Thank you for those who will overcome by this testimony today. Let your name be glorified on this platform. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. All right. So I'm ready for you. So, how did I meet you guys? I met you guys through my pastors, Rowan and Suzanne, that family. So I want Luis, how did you meet Ro? Because I can't remember the whole story, but how did you meet the Thompsons?
Well, I met Ro in Nyack College, the Rockland campus. I was working for the Office of Spiritual Formation. And I believe Ron was working on his master's degree at the seminary, and he was an intern. And I got to meet him through that. And from there, we teamed up and did a couple of what's called spiritual formation retreats on campus.
Okay.
So we held some groups together in reference to that. And we just clicked. Number one, I'm from New York City. He's from the Bronx. So that was that was
an immediate.
Yeah, the Bronx. We were talking a lot about the Bronx at the retreat. the boogie down Bronx. Okay, that's where I'm from. So, well, after Jamaica. But yeah, so happy to have you, Luis. All right, so I'm going to ask you some questions that I'm excited to dive in here. So I'm going to talk about a little bit about life before the relationship. Not too much, but can you each share just a little bit about your life before you met? What season were you in emotionally and spiritually?
Oh,
yeah, if you could think about that.
You want to go first? You first or me first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
That time, my life consists of New York City. I'm working in New York City. I'm attending church in New York City. I'm doing ministry in New York City. At 17 years of age, I was introduced to church.
Okay.
In the sense of what my relationship has become now. I always grew up in the faith, Catholic faith.
Okay.
I started attending a church at 17, the same small church that I've been in since. So from that, they introduced me to ministry. They introduced me to community service initiatives and things of that nature. So I was working at a youth center. It was actually a community center. We did more than just work with the youth. So I was doing that, but then I was also taking classes, college courses at the Nyack College had a Manhattan campus.
Okay.
And it was really geared towards older students, really adults that worked in the daytime and didn't want to take classes at night. So I was doing that. So that was pretty much my life. And then, of course, I'm doing ministry with the church.
Okay. All right. So
if I have to say spiritually where I was at, I would say I was in a good place spiritually and emotionally, because I was pretty much doing the things that I knew in my heart God called me to do. And those were the things that gave me life.
Right. Okay. And so at any point where I guess you were very single before you met her?
If I was very single? That's an interesting.
Wait, but you
very single.
But you were in Rockland.
So, yes.
It really is
single.
So, like I said, I was in New York City, and then I decided after doing 2.5 years of college at the Manhattan campus, I said to myself, you know what? I want to experience being at a residential campus.
Okay.
As a student. And that's when I went to Nyack College's Rockland campus.
And that's where we met.
That's where we met.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So what was your life like?
Wait, he needs to answer that question.
Yeah, were you very single?
All right. So when I touched the Rockland campus, I was committed to my studies
Yeah.
and then maybe doing some service initiatives on campus. I was an older student. I wasn't your typical age, college
Okay.
age, because I was already in my 20s,
Mhm.
my mid 20s. So, yeah, that was just my thing. I wasn't trying to, you know, find a girlfriend or things of that
Okay.
nature. So I pretty much just said, you know what, Lord, I'm doing this and you open the door for me to be there and I'm going to
Mhm.
commit to, just focusing on, you know, studies and you.
Yeah.
So that's where I was at.
That's good. Sounds like you had the right focus for your life then. Okay.
But again, I was also an older student too. So
Okay.
the synapses in my brain were already connected. So I could make rational.
Makes sense. Yes. Okay. All right. Well, I'm excited to hear Wanda's answer to that. But, where were you emotionally, spiritually before you met him? What was going on?
Well, before meeting Luis, I spent some time as a single mom.
Okay.
I had been married when I was much younger, in my early 20s. I married as a junior in college, got married at NIAC. We had 2 children together, and the marriage
Mhm.
didn't work out. It just didn't work out. And we found ourselves separating
Yeah.
and eventually getting divorced. And so the kids and I uh, found a little place to live in Rockland County. And what was interesting is I was finishing seminary when all this was happening, and I was offered a full-time job. And that was kind of when my career started, but it was at the most intense time of my life, just trying to navigate purpose after a divorce,
I know what that's like.
just, worth,
Yeah.
just trying to navigate that space of being a Christian woman and having to have made this decision
Mhm.
to, to get divorced and just all that comes with that,
Mhm.
space when you are in a Christian community. And I want to say that I think at the time it was very unhealthy because I had so much fear that I was doing something wrong
Wow.
or, you know, and so because of that fear, I found myself, it's interesting because I was talking to another woman the other day that is in this space right now. I
Mhm.
found myself in any support group, reading any book, anyone that, anything and anyone that could give me guidance,
That's great.
even making the decision of like, ending the marriage. And so
Yeah.
that eventually happened and I accepted a job full time and again, providing a home for my children and just learning how to navigate this new space on my own and how to get bills paid and put food on the table and take care of my heart and my
Yeah.
soul and believing that God still saw me, heard me, and would use me in his kingdom because since I was a teenager, I really believed that God had showed me, he gave me a vision as a young lady to, standing in front of a group of women. Like that
Mhm.
was a vision the Lord gave me as a teenager. And I always wondered what that was. Like, who was I standing in front of? And
Mhm.
because of what I went through at that point, I'm like, I'll never stand in front of a group of women because of the decision that had been made. And now the reality that I was, a single mom moving forward, as a divorced woman and believing that God could still use me in any way was really difficult for me. And so before meeting Lewis, I would say that that happened, but I also put in a lot of time through counseling, through inner healing,
Yeah.
a few deliverance sessions, dealing with my past and some, childhood trauma.
Yeah.
I did all the internal work to just be healthier for myself and for my kids. And
That's beautiful.
I never thought that I would get married again. I was really content with just, I tried dating and, that's a whole nother podcast that we can plan for the future. Um, but going into this relationship with Lewis, I was very single.
Yeah.
I was very much single And never did I imagine that that it would be Luis, because we'd known each other for a few years. And again, I was an employee at the campus. He was a student at the campus, and I know that your listeners are probably going to try to figure out what that was all about. But we were in a community with students that I was mentoring some of the girls, and he was friends with one of the boyfriends of one of those girls. And I was also, as a Latina, working on campus, a lot of the Latino students gravitated to me, especially the girls. I eventually got a job on campus. I had an apartment on campus. And so that was kind of where the community was formed, where he was part of that community and that friend group that then I was a part of, because some of those girls looked up to me as a mentor, and his roommate was dating one of those girls. And so that community, people may say, well, what was all that about? That community really became a space of healing for my children and I with this group of students. And Luis got to play a role in that, just modeling to my son and to my daughter healthy relationship as a man to my son, who was young at the time. He was 6. Yes. What relationship could look like with guys and girls being friends. And, I think my children benefited from that group of students. And so our community at the time. And so that's where I met Luis. I was very single before anything happened. He had already graduated before our first date and was living off campus. And so we didn't break any of those rules. And our journey started in the winter 2005.
I love that. I love that you went into how you met already. Mm-hmm. So, Luis, so you met, you were friends. When did the pursuit start with you, Luis? Did you start pursuing her? How did you guys get together?
That's a good question. I think, all right, so for me, there was an interest.
Okay.
It began with an interest, but of course, like I mentioned, I'm not really in school for that, kind of like getting focused. And I liked going to the spaces where she was at, along with my roommate and, the other students that we ended up becoming good friends with.
Mm-hmm.
So being in those spaces, it felt like a home away from home. Okay? And, everything from, I don't know, some of the students would end up doing laundry there, doing homework, studying. So it was just cool.
Doing life.
But in those spaces, her and I were the oldest.
Okay.
Oldest people there.
Yeah.
For the most part. And I think the first time, well, it always just been like a friendship deal. Because she would be like, hey, I'm going to do this. Would you want to, and that's just saying, would you like to tag along? And I didn't think nothing of it other than it was just cool.
Right.
And I like being around her company. So it was no thing. It was
right.
So if you're asking more specific, when it switched to something a bit more like romantic, you mean?
Yeah. She wants to know the story.
So I would say this is the one where I get the instant messenger. You remember?
No, it wasn't instant message. It was when I dropped you and Ralph off that weekend that you came up, and then I dropped you and Ralph off, and then you called my phone and asked me to meet you in the city.
Right,
that was the first time.
Where?
You were in Rockland. Do you remember our first date?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, that's when it started.
You gotta keep this.
Wanda.
This is our life. This is us all the time.
So, all right. So, and you just hearing that, you kind of got the impression, just like I did, it was an interest other than friendship.
Yes.
That's what I kind of felt. So me sensing that she was interested, and I enjoyed her company, but then there was also, on my end, an attraction. I was like, yeah, let's see if maybe there's something possibly more than just friends that can happen.
Yeah. Okay. So you knew there was a possibility. So the date was happening. So did you guys kind of just said, let's meet, but it wasn't, how did you say it was a date? Like, how did it become a date?
It became a date because it was exclusively just her and I.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No. And he called me and asked if I would be interested in meeting him. I think that was, for me, I was attracted to Luis. I felt like it started way before that for me. And I don't want to over spiritualize it, but I did have a dream with Luis. I did have a dream with Luis, and it was weird. And I didn't reveal to him. Right. And because, kind of growing up or, coming up in church circles, like that's just that was kind of like a rule. You never tell the guy you like that you had a dream with him, because then all of a sudden it's like, did God give you that dream? Right. And so I'm an adult. I've experienced life now. I have 2 children. I've navigated my faith at this point. I'm in my 30s, and I'm like, I am not going to tell this guy that I had a dream with him. But I did. I did have a dream.
Not to tell. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I just kind of held on. I just would keep it to myself and kind of thought about, wow, like, what was this about? And in the dream, we were together.
Wow.
And it was just kind of weird for me to even imagine, honestly. And because he had spent so much time around the group, and there were times that he would jump in the car with me if I was going to run an errand or if I needed to do something with the kids.
Yeah.
And that was, again, he was a safe person for my kids, and that was wonderful. But they, that the entire group was safe. All of the guys and the girls that were kind of in our community then. And so, so to have this dream and then to be around him, it was like, whoa, what's going on here?
Wow.
Right. And so that particular weekend that we ended up going on our first date, he called my phone and he asked me to meet him in the city.
Yeah.
First of all, he asked if I would meet him in the city. And it was like, now you want to know if I would meet you. Well, now, of course, I'm going to say yes. And I'm going to come down to the Lower East Side per your request. And I'm going to come and I met him in the city and picked him up, and we ended up going out to dinner and having dessert. We went to dinner at one restaurant, dessert, another space. And we ended up just talking all night until the sun came up on the east side of Manhattan. Honestly, we were down by Battery Park, and we were in the cold, and we watched the sun come up. I actually have pictures of that day. We watched the sun come up, and that was the first time, well, maybe the second time that we had long conversation.
Yeah.
It was the second time just about life and love and relationships. And he had seen me already for years with my kids as a single parent. And I knew that if there was going to be a point of tension in this relationship, it would be that as a fact. Like for him as a young single man, we are 7 years apart. Here's this guy. I'm attracted to him. I've had a dream with him. And the Lord also showed me in this dream that he was called to be a pastor. That was another part of the dream. And so knowing at that point he wasn't operating in that space.
Yeah. Sometimes it doesn't look like what he's telling us. Yeah.
It just wasn't time. And so I knew that if there was going to be any, again, point of tension in the relationship, if we ended up dating, it was going to be the reality that I was divorced and I had 2 children, and that we immediately, if we dated, he would become, a father figure to my children.
Yeah, that's so important.
And that would happen very quickly, right? And it was a couple of dates later that he said to me, if we ever dated, we would date to get married.
Yeah.
And if we got married, I want you to know that then I would become the head of your household.
Okay.
And I would parent your children. I would parent your children with you.
Yeah.
Not, that we would do it together. And I remember looking at him. I remember specifically we were in the city in the South Street Seaport. And I remember looking at him and thinking, this is now he's saying this to me as, very, as a matter of fact, like this is what will happen. And I remember like kind of looking at him and kind of agreeing, but in my spirit, in my heart, I'm like, yes, Lord, like I would love to have, this man come into our lives and be the head of our home. I would love to have a covering like the one that Luis would provide, just knowing the character, how he lived his life, who he was, how he loved God.
Yeah.
Just how he carried himself. I'm like, this is a man who loves God and is after God's own heart. And so this would be amazing, like too good to be true kind of feeling. And so I knew all those things. But again, I knew that if that was to be true, immediately he would become a father figure to these two kids. Would he sign up for that?
Yeah, I'm definitely curious about the timelines. You were saying maybe around 2005 was when you guys went on your first date.
Mm-hmm.
So how long were you
Yeah,
friends
it was
before that?
2005 that we went on our first date. January of 2005. What relationship are you in?
All
January
right,
of 2005.
I touched that campus in
Our
2002,
and we were friends.
and so that's when I got to meet her.
Wow,
Right.
So I would
that's a long
say,
time that you were friends.
yeah, I guess,
2005.
Yeah,
yeah,
Because we got married in
remember.
November.
yeah,
So you were
because I
friends for a long time,
graduated
and then
in 2004.
2006 you got married.
No.
I
The
graduated
same
in
2005.
2004.
Yeah, he graduated in 2004. We started our relationship in 2005. We got married November of 2005. We got married pretty quickly.
Yeah, I guess when
Yeah.
you know. I
But
wonder
I'm just
how
saying,
your previous experiences kind of shaped or prepared you for this relationship.
well, well,
Girl.
all right. So number one, for me, I was engaged before.
Yeah.
And that engagement was, what is it? The individual I was engaged to, she called off the whole thing.
Oh,
Okay. So I experienced that.
yeah. Sure, that
And
came with some
then,
rejection.
right.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So then that left me in a place where it's like, you know what? I went through, through the whole going and buy a ring, present a ring and all this
Yeah.
stuff, and someone saying yes. And then maybe 3 months before, it was like, the day it was like, hey, listen, this is something I don't think that I want to
Wow.
pursue. So
Wow.
that just left me in a space where it's like, okay, no problem. But
Uh-huh.
now I'm not going to be as easy to repeat that process again.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, so after that, being in a relationship where, those that didn't wish to, commit in the sense of marriage
Yeah.
and just was very vocal about that.
Mhm.
To me, I didn't see, um, a purpose in being with someone then and
Wow.
dating, this woman that was not interested in
Yeah. Like a waste of
marriage for the
time.
future.
Mhm.
You
Right.
get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So then I kind of experience one thing and then experience another. So now when I'm on this campus and I meet her, and again, I guess that also gave me fuel in the sense of, I'm not trying to be here dating, you know, like some of these other students that were out there dating on campus. That
Yeah.
wasn't what I was that wasn't what I was interested in. Between that and then also I took so even today, I
Yeah.
take my relationship with the Lord serious. Again,
Absolutely.
I didn't grow up that way.
Mm.
So when I did and I've started to see how God was moving in my life, I started to really take it to heart, the
Mm.
things of his word.
Yeah.
And I started to apply them to my life.
That's
And I
amazing.
used to see him doing things and doing ministry and stuff. I used to see how God would use me. So to me, it just became, to me, God was more real. And
Wow.
so if he can use me in those things, then I can give him my heart and say, listen, Lord, this is what I wish for my future in reference to a woman that I want to, to marry and have a family with. And I just left it to him. So
Yeah.
I wholeheartedly try my very best on my end to stick to that. And of course, he'll do his part. And that was that.
Yeah.
So even though she was before me, and I can see that there were certain things about her that I was like, this could be the one
Yeah.
that God is literally saying, no, this is what I prepared for you.
Wow.
And I'm not trying to be corny and super
Mm-mm.
spiritual because I'm not that guy. I'm just saying that
We stay right here.
because of my previous experiences, those were the things I was wrestling with.
Right.
Now let's go down to the practical things. A
Mhm.
lot of individuals, they're single and they have a checklist of who the person that they want to spend the rest of their life with.
Yeah.
All right. So an ideal checklist would be not someone who's divorced and not someone who has children.
Right.
That's obvious, right?
Yeah.
So when it became that part of it, I was like, you know what? This is a package deal because I'm not just not entering
Yeah.
into being a husband. I need to enter being a father.
Yeah.
But I would say this too. I, grew up with a stepdad. My stepdad, he modeled for me certain things that I carry with me to this day.
Okay.
Okay. And so when I was working in that community center, and again, we did a lot of initiatives for youth. A lot of the youth would say things to me like, you're like a father figure to me.
Yeah.
All right. So I kind of was just living out the things that God called me to do. And in return, I can see how certain people would just be so receptive and they would just be
Wow.
like, they would affirm certain things in you.
God is
So
preparing you for sure.
absolutely. So
Yeah.
between that and me being an individual that, I'm, how can I say this? I'm a confident man. You get what I'm saying? So it ain't no thing for me to pursue someone who's 7 years older than me, someone who had a pretty good career, because to me, someone who worked for a college, that was a profession.
Sure.
She she's her own boss, she makes her own money.
Yeah.
That'll that'll make me feel some type of way. Okay. Was divorced and she had two
You weren't
children.
intimidated by a strong
That
woman.
wasn't gonna shrink me down.
No, not at all.
I am. You get it? But now there was non-negotiables coming in. Number one, if we can't be parents of a family as one unit, then this is not going to happen.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's how there were just certain things that were non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Number one, she had to be a woman of faith, which she was.
That's so important.
She had to love the things of the Lord.
Mhm.
She did. And she displayed that many times over as I used to just watch her and
Yeah.
her interactions with students, and
Yeah.
of course, listening to certain things that, ministry wise that she's done off and on in the city. So I saw her heart, and I'm going to say this one more thing. I had an older gentleman that I kind of looked up to for advice, like fatherly advice.
Yeah.
Not to say that I put him in that category of a father figure, but he's an older man, and wisdom that comes from one older man to a younger man, it was something of value to me.
Yeah.
He said one time, he said this. He said a woman that's divorced one time would divorce again just as easy because she's already done it before. All right. So he made mention of that, and that kind of stuck on me, whatever. And I'm just like, well, if I get involved with, this woman, but could she have the potential to eventually divorce?
Yeah.
And again, I'm saying to myself, Lord, I want to be with someone, but it's like really when we talk about death was part type of deal.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's something for the long haul, and it's
Yeah.
like forever.
So that probably put a little
until God
doubt
calls
in
us
you.
home. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I was kind of wrestling with those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so it wasn't an easy road
Yeah.
to, end the relationship. There was a lot of, Luis and I established such a great friendship. We always say that, we're best friends.
Wow.
And he is my best friend.
That's a wonderful foundation.
Right from and it was important. And from the very beginning, we were friends. It was important for us to talk about everything.
Yeah.
There were some boundaries that were healthy for us not to talk about, right? But I think that also came with just my age, my experience. There were just certain things that I didn't carry into the relationship that just were unnecessary. Like there were just things that as a younger woman that were important to me to know that then at this point, I'm like, I don't need to know that.
Sure. You are more mature. You have been there, done that. And also the fact that you also went through self-care, soul care.
Yes.
Yeah. You knew who you were. That's so good.
Yeah. And there, honestly, that security in like who God said I was and me operating at a full identity, like if I would not have embraced those truths about myself, I couldn't be with a man like Luis.
Yeah.
My best friend, she always says to him, Luis, if you knew Wanda before, you would have not ever dated her. And you know what? She's right.
Wow.
Truth there, And when I found myself in that space where, I had to raise my two kids and my own future. I had to really dig deep.
Wow.
And do a lot of internal work. And so my best friend is right. Like, I could not have been with someone, Luis.
Wow.
First of all, I don't think I would have been attracted to someone like Luis, to
Yeah.
be honest. And so now I put in the work, and I'm in this space, personally, spiritually, professionally, and it came with responsibility as a leader in our community. And so, there were just things that I just didn't bring in. Like, it just wasn't, it may be important for someone else, but for me, what was important was that he was my friend, and he would listen, and he was present, and that we can grow and deepen the friendship. And so we had a very, from the very beginning, strong conversations, honest conversations. Our pastors used to say that we were too honest with each other. I mean, I think it was like year 7. Yeah, but year 7 of our marriage, we're sitting with our pastors having an emergency meeting because we hit a wall in year 7.
Oh, off your marriage. Okay.
Yeah. And we went back to our pastors, who we were always in relationship with throughout the, all those years. And we're sitting in the sanctuary with them. And I remember our pastor saying, "You guys, you're just too honest." And his directive was, he's like, "Stop talking to each other about everything. Luis, you need to talk to your friends. You need to find a good core group of friends. And Wanda, you need to go talk to your friends. You don't always need to process everything. Like, take a couple of steps back and find that space that you're not always just coming to." So that was, we learned how to do that. Okay. And it was hard at first, but I realized, looking now, I'm like, that was so important for us.
Keep some respect, for sure.
We needed to find those people that we could go to that wouldn't be judgmental of us, that we could have honest conversation with when things got hard, instead of me walking in the door and being like, "You know what?" And honestly, that would be loyal and love me and be my friend. Like, I wanted someone that I could do life with and have fun with. And that's exactly what we've shared over the 20 years. Our daughter yesterday was in the car with us. She was with me, and we're talking about the car, because we have one car right now. And she goes, "Mom, don't you want your own car so that you can just go do your own thing?" And I said, "Well, no, because when your dad is home, we do things together." And she goes, "Well, don't you get tired of that? Don't you want to do your own thing?" And, and I'm in the car laughing, because I'm like, I actually like hanging out with him.
That is great. That's so amazing to hear after 20 years, right? You both still like being in the same room with each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I love to hang out with him.
Yeah.
Together. And I'm like, oh yeah, 20 years. But they're really asking if we're together, like, so they can put our groceries together to ring them up.
Yeah.
So I'm always joking around like that. And I'm like, 20 plus years. Yeah, we're together.
We're together.
And then they'll say something like, "What's the secret?" I'm like, well, number one, you have to like each other.
That's so important.
We do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we like each other's company. We're homebodies. Wherever we are, we can make it a party if we really wanted to.
Yeah, for sure.
So we're together. So that's like,
So that's
I want to make mention. I want to make mention how she spoke about, like, she did work, the inner healing work. And, emotional healing and things of that nature. So me, I didn't come from that particular school.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was like me. Yeah. So to me, it was like she introduced that to me.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say that emotionally I was like real down.
Right. And you don't have to do that.
Right. Exactly. But I felt like it was enough at that time, to be in your word.
Yeah. Right.
Worship to me at that time.
About this. Why go to counseling? The last one I just was about that. That's so funny. Yeah.
So I'm thinking, I'm in my word, because I'm not just in the category of just going to church and just listening to the word.
Yeah.
I'm in my word, and I really loved worship.
Yeah.
And I would do it on my own. I would do it in my own my own space.
That's beautiful.
And I feel like that sustains someone to a certain point.
Absolutely.
So I thought I was in a good place, like I answered you in the beginning.
Yeah.
Going to Rockland and then We began dating and then getting married, and we got married.
Yeah.
But when we were dating, she really introduced me to this idea of inner healing and emotional healing.
Yeah.
And that was very intriguing at the time. And I would say that I wasn't always fully ready for that.
Yeah.
But that's the thing when it comes to being with the person that you know you should be, because they'll give you room. They won't force that on you.
Yes.
And that's the problem. A lot of people feel like, number one, you you have to change someone.
No.
No,
Absolutely. No, that
that's
can't.
no, that's never gonna work.
Never.
Never.
You want something supernatural to
No.
happen in someone's life, then you got to bring it to God because
Let
He's the
God
only
do
one
it.
that got miracles on deck to do that.
Yeah.
Now, if you truly feel like you can't be with someone because of something,
Right.
then that's for you to decide. That's at your discretion.
Absolutely.
Individuals get together and then all of a sudden they're upset about something that that person already had with them
Right.
going into this marriage.
Right.
Yeah.
So I knew that there was grace, but then that she would extend grace in that sense of me not being exactly where she was at in the inner healing piece, but I was also I thought I could entrust my heart with hers because she entrusted to me. She entrusted me with certain parts of herself that she did not reveal to anyone.
Wow. Yeah,
In
that's
reference
how you know.
to
Yeah.
certain inner healing things that she had going on,
Yeah.
that she had experienced, and she expressed those to me, and I was like, "Oh wow, like that's that's deep, that's some
Yeah.
deep wounding that you've come out from. Thank you so much for entrusting me with that."
She felt like a space.
Because, right, you go through these other, your past, like when I think about my past experiences, when a marriage doesn't work, it's not just one person's fault. It's two people.
There's something to learn from it for sure.
Yeah. You just take responsibility, and so it's like, I have to make a choice, like, and that's where the work comes in. I got to make a choice. Like, do I want to be a better person? Do I want to be a better parent, a better mother, sister, friend? It's like, there's gotta be more to this life, and so the work that I put in wasn't because I was trying to get another husband. You know what I mean? Like, that wasn't the goal. The goal was just to have
you're becoming. Yeah.
to become and to have a life that was filled with purpose.
Yes.
And so, and finally when I was able to see, like, oh no, wait, like I remember being coming out of a meeting with my spiritual director and him telling me, you need to stop asking for the same thing. You keep asking God for the same thing when He's already given it to you.
Wow.
You've been free from the things that you keep saying have keeping you
Bound.
in bondage. And he's like, and he said, and I'm not going to pray through this with you anymore. Like, get it together. Basically, it was like, get it together, go to your office, figure it out. I'm done. Like, we're not doing this anymore, And I remember walking back to my office and being like, dang, like that guy. And by the way, a younger man, he was actually on he wasn't a student, but he used to be a student. He was on staff at this point, but at least 10 years younger than me. Okay. And I'm like, this guy telling me what to go do. Like, old Wanda would have, had something else to say to him. But I'm like, I took it. I received it. I struggled as I was walking back to my office. But I remember going into the office, closing my door and laying on the floor.
Wow.
And I was weeping because I too was tired of, like, Lord, if I have to release something, then help me release it so that I could be free from this, because I want to have, and I want to live out what other people are saying I have. Like, I want to feel that for myself. And I remember laying on the floor, praying and crying. And all of a sudden I felt like I was underwater.
Wow.
I felt like I was underwater. I don't swim. Actually, I have fearful of water, deep water, but I'm on the floor and I feel like I'm underwater. But because of the fear, I pop up quickly, like almost gasping. And in that moment, I felt a shift.
Wow.
In that moment, I felt something lift off of me.
Or what? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It was so powerful. And I can hear this gentleman's voice in my head, like, it's time for you to figure this out. Like, get it together. Like, just like the Lord's done this already. You're free of this, and I did. And exactly that. I snapped out of it.
Yeah, literally. That's amazing.
those are the experiences that then you take into, like for me, I took into other spaces, like whatever and however I would encounter other things. And in the relationship with Lewis, I had to, if I wanted to be with this man and we were going to have a fulfilling marriage and raise children, I couldn't go back and forth doubting myself.
Right.
Like I couldn't go back and be insecure about things that I knew God freed me from.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes the enemy wants to bring back, to make you feel like you're back there, but you've moved
Yeah.
so much further along. I love that you got up out of it and walked into that power and now became decisive.
Yes. Yes.
Sometimes about just making a decision by faith. You guys have answered a lot of questions I was going to ask as you told your story, like just the role of faith and counseling. Sounded like you guys even had accountability with other people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because he talks about that 7-year itch that I've heard all
Yeah.
about. The thing that happened at 7 years during the marriage. So you went to pastors who helped you kind of reset or get yourselves together.
And we were also in a small group with other couples that were married longer than us.
Yeah.
And we stayed in that small group for like the first 7, 8 years that we were married. And so we were the youngest married couple in the group.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else, we would spend Sundays with our families. It was a family group where the kids all kind of hung out in the basement of the house. And we did small group together. And so they were our community for the first 8 years. When we celebrated our 10th anniversary, we renewed our vows.
Oh.
And we ended up having our renewal in the same church that we got married in with the same pastors. But those couples, we asked them to stand in the aisle as we walked down the aisle to renew our vows. They stood almost like a bridal party, but unofficially. But I wanted them to stand there because honestly, they were the tall pillars in our lives as couples. They modeled marriages that were hard.
Yeah.
But they were honest about the hardship. And in our small groups, they talked about not liking each other all the time.
Yeah.
And wrestling with finances and wrestling with intimacy. And I remember us sitting there like newly married with these people. It's like, this is what we have to look forward to. But 10 years in, those couples were there for us.
Yeah.
They were there for us. And we renewed our vows after 10 years. And it was beautiful to have that community. It's so important. It's so important.
But so how do you guys, after 20 years, keep your connection fresh? How do you keep it?
Honest talk.
Yeah, we're intentional with, and I mentioned this most recently to someone that we come together. We say, you know what, we're gonna set a particular date and time. Just make sure there's no distraction, nothing, and we just make the commitment and we keep that promise to ourselves and we do that.
That's
And
awesome.
I look at it almost like, like an annual review.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So
You're kind
important.
of going over what worked, what didn't, going into the next,
That's like
year or
having a
whatever.
business. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So important.
It's like marriage, you got to show up to work.
Yeah.
Like
so
it takes work.
Yes.
I always say that it takes work to be married. You got to show up. It's not love.
Yeah.
I'm not,
I love it's a decision to every day. Yeah. You're going to be committed and be in it. Just like the thing you're building, your business that you're building, you want the vision to continue to be in front of you. So you revisit that and you talk about how it's working, how it's not working,
Exactly.
I think that's amazing. That's beautiful. I know we have a little time. So I want to ask you, what advice would you give to someone first? Because you both have experienced some form of rejection or left other relationships. So the first question is, what advice would you give to someone afraid to love again after divorce or after having had a serious relationship? How do they start over? How do they love again?
I don't mind going first as he's thinking about it. I think for me, it's taking responsibility for what didn't work, what didn't happen. I think that's the first thing. You got to own what you need to own.
Yeah.
And you got to forgive.
Yeah.
So you can move on, right? Because what is it that we learn? Like forgiveness is for you, not for them, right? And so I think forgiveness and then whatever recovery work, right? Because we talk about God's redeeming power,
Yeah.
how he redeems, every part of our story. And so relinquishing control and sharing that story,
Yes.
like just relinquishing control and releasing that story, because there's power in story. And if you can find a community of people to hold you accountable, that will, hold you accountable
Yeah.
100%, that's, it's allowing for God to be God in those spaces. And
Yeah.
I think that's where you find first the love of the Father.
Yeah.
And that's when you can then, if I didn't receive the love of the Father wholeheartedly to know that he loves me, Wanda,
Yeah.
I would not have been able to accept the amount of love that this man continues to give me after 20 years.
Wow.
You like that?
I like that.
That was so good. Luis, I kind of want you to speak to the men when it comes to that question. Like, how do they prepare, especially having maybe someone tell them no, someone rejected them. You proposed to someone, right? And that you had to go on a new journey after that person left, So how do they get over that fear of pursuing again, or just going after what they know God is kind of telling them to do, but maybe the fear gets in the way because of what they experience. Encourage that man who is just afraid to move forward. He's taking the time making that decision.
All right. Okay. So what I would encourage is that they continue to work on themselves.
Yes.
All right. They take themselves, it's almost like they have to build their spirit man. They have to build their, the emotional self.
Yeah.
They have to build their professional self.
Yeah.
Things of that nature. Okay. There's a lot of men that go in hard in the gym and want to just look physically fit.
Yeah.
But then they won't give any time and opportunity for, things of the Lord, their emotional health, even mental health.
So important.
Okay? So I would say you pour into those things so that you can be exactly where you should be when it's time.
Yeah.
Because I personally believe that the person is going to come for them when they least expect it. So you need to be who you're supposed to be so that you're ready for that.
Yeah.
Because if you're so like focused inward and you just operate out of that fear to want to, be out there and find that someone, then you're gonna always just kind of stay stuck,
Yes.
so to speak. So I would do that, and I feel like God honors our prayers in the sense of when we genuinely, wholeheartedly want something for our lives in the sense of what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
If you desire to have a wife and desire to have a family, those are good things.
Yeah.
And I don't see that's what you truly desire in your heart, then God wants to honor that. So long as you're honoring him in the process.
Yeah.
I strongly feel like confident that he will come through.
Yes. I agree with
you prepare yourself so you can be, you can be that solid person for someone that comes along.
Yeah. I love that. And he that findeth a wife,
Finds a good thing.
he obtains favor from the Lord also, not just finding a good thing, but they also get favor from the Lord. So it is a thing, to consider. But I love the word of encouragement from both of you, and just how you talked about your relationship, and not just how that it was easy, but you guys had to, first of all, go through what your boundaries were prior to getting into this relationship. And then getting into the relationship, you had to constantly reevaluate where you were to keep going. So I, for one, admire what you guys have been through and how much you have shared today. I'm encouraged because I'm in the waiting.
Can I just say, I want to share this too about us. We set guidelines in our relationship from the very beginning. We don't like to call them rules.
Okay.
But they're just guidelines that we follow. There were just certain things that they were non-negotiables, And so, and to this day, we follow those guidelines. And so I would encourage, to set those. And I think that helps, again, helps set boundaries in the relationship. And it's just been so good for us as we're doing this.
Yeah.
I'm grateful.
Yes.
Because we have had hard times. But I'm so grateful for the ways in which God has showed up for us and our family. Louis and I, we are looking forward to becoming empty nesters.
Wow.
You know,
Chapter.
and it's not going to happen really soon because we still have a 15-year-old, but we look forward to that because we've never been alone.
Wow.
We didn't date for years, and we weren't just together and got to travel and do all the things before we had our first child.
Yeah.
You know, from day one, you know, we had a family, you know, and
so you kind of got into the business of it early. Yeah.
yeah, very much. And so I look forward to the empty nesting stage where we can just, I guess, learn how to date again and enjoy that part of our story that we have yet to experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what I'm seeing is that you both support your personal growth as well, like your your well-being. So you both you recognize your individuals, but as well as maintaining the relationship to that togetherness. So quickly, I know. How do you support each other's health and well-being, or personal growth rather? Because that's so important.
It comes out of me naturally.
Okay.
That's just one of my strengths. If you do an assessment called Strengths Finder, all of my strengths, most of them are really about influence and relationships and growth. And so that just natural. I can't talk to someone without saying, "Oh, I think you should." Oh, I see the potential. Like I see the potential in people very naturally. And so I think for Luis, it's just always been that. And he knew that before he got to experience that just being in my house.
He said
and in community.
Yeah.
And so I've always cheered him on, but I got to say, Luis has always cheered me on.
Wow.
And in everything that I've accomplished in my career. And, when we talked about flourish in the beginning of this session, he's been cheering that on for years, just kind of waiting for me to do it, and so it was, the day of, and I think I shared this with you guys, the day that as I was driving to the retreat, he sent me a beautiful text about how my worlds were coming together, and that word really helped launch me into that weekend from my husband just supporting me in that space. And so I've been his number one fan. Sometimes it's not been easy for him to accept the way that I show up.
Yeah.
Yeah, like at the same time, because I see so much potential in him. So I've learned how to pull back a little with him to give him space, because he did get ordained eventually and he became a pastor and I knew all these things, but I had to learn in that to take my hand off of him as well, because the hand that guides him is the Father's hand. And even though the Father's given me eyes to see and I have strong discernment, I had to learn with him, like, all right, Lord, I'm going to take my hand and I'm going to let you guide him and learn how to do that too and still support him.
Yes.
But I'm his number one fan for sure. And he's been mine.
Well, I've always been like the type, well, she would make suggestions, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm not the one that's just going to do it because my wife told me.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, I hear you.
Such a man.
I get it. I need to do go to therapy. And what's crazy is, she pushed me to get a master's degree.
Wow.
So my master's is in marriage and family therapy.
Oh my God.
So in that, we would have to go to therapy and do that. You have to show proof that you can't be a therapist without going to therapy.
Right.
So
gotta experience it.
But again, it took me 7 years to finish that degree.
So,
work, full-time family and then working and stuff like that, trying to manage all that.
I just love that.
She would always encourage me to, why don't you read this book and consider this or that?
That's
that.
Good.
But she's more of a reader than I am. Okay. I mean, I do a lot of reading now in my current profession, but she can read a book. She can read a book in 2 days. Me, I'm like still stuck in chapter 1. You know what I'm saying? So, but I just learned that I take it in and I do self-inventory for myself, and I'm like, you know what, she's right. But I'm like, and then I'm just trying to figure out timing and God, like, why I'm stuck here. And she kind of like puts me in the direction, and now I'm wrestling with God about it.
Yeah.
And
I get that.
I appreciate that, but we kind of know each other's rhythm in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not offensive as it was like
In the beginning.
sometimes in the beginning. It's
Yeah.
like, oh man, you like judging me or da da da.
That
No,
you were learning each other.
you
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say we're on autopilot because
Mhm.
there's no couple that's on autopilot.
No,
Right.
you should still be learning.
Exactly, because if you're not learning, then you're not growing.
Yeah. And we evolved. We've evolved into two different people.
Yeah.
Like we're not the whole thing. I'm never going to change him, but we change.
Right.
You influence each other.
Right.
Because individually
We
desire change.
we did. Yeah.
Yes.
That's the thing.
So I think that part I've learned now so many years later. I love that we continue to evolve into who God calls us to be and the
Yeah.
seasons that we get to live out. And so, because then it's another part of him that I'm attracted to. It's another part of him that I'm going to be challenged with. It's another, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Like where we are today as we have this conversation with you is nowhere one that we ever imagined.
Yeah.
Where we are, where we live, what we get to do, what we're called to. But we're learning it, right? And so that there's a what's that called? Not a curiosity, but there's a wonder about it.
Yeah.
That I really am learning to enjoy and walk in.
That's beautiful. Thank you both so much. I'm so aware of your time, and so I don't want to keep you too long, but I'm just so grateful. So
Thank you for having us.
I mean, I could stay here talking to you guys about so many other things when it comes to marriage and how you guys do it. But I think you guys have shared so much meat, and I think it's going to be very effective in blessing someone else. And I, for one, I'm blessed by your story.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you guys so much again. I appreciate it.
Thank
And
you.
with that, everyone, say goodbye to these beautiful people. God bless. Wow, guys, that was a great time with Wanda and Luis. I felt like they had so much to share, so much to give out of their 20-year marriage. And one thing I've learned is how much they build a foundation of friendship that would later prove to be the thing that would keep their marriage afloat. But at some point along the way, they realize, okay, there's still boundaries we need to keep here. So we don't lose maybe the integrity of our relationship or the respect. So along the way, they had to do the work. They had to do the work to maintain the beautiful connection that they have. And I believe so much that intentionality in a relationship is so important. To constantly revisit what your vision is, constantly talk about where are we now, what do we want to continue doing? What are those guidelines? Wanda talked about the guidelines for your relationship. And so they did leave with us beautiful nuggets for us to take into our next relationship or take into the one that we're already currently in and try to build a sustainable, strong relationship. So with all of that said today, there's not much more I can say, but receive the influence from them if you can, which was a positive one today. I'm definitely influenced by the message of their relationship. And I pray today that you have been blessed. And at the end of the day, no matter what your decisions are, I pray that you'll stay married to His will. God bless you. And that brings us to the end of today's episode of Married to His Will. Whether you're in a season of clarity or confusion, joy or surrender, I want to remind you choosing to align with His will isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. Every step of obedience, every moment of trust is shaping you for something greater than you can imagine. Thank you for letting me be a part of your journey today. If this episode spoke to your heart, take a moment to share it with someone who might need the reminder they're not walking alone. Until next time, keep leaning in, keep showing up, and keep saying yes to the journey, even when it doesn't make sense. Because when you're married to His will, you're anchored in something eternal. Stay faithful, stay expectant, and I'll see you next time.